So my name is Paul Stein. I set up Floral Energy a year or two back to power data centers, a few other things as well, but largely power data centers. And we're a UK-US company, which gives us a transatlantic perspective on growth in the markets either side of the pond. On the US side, Elon Musk in May said that AI data capacity in the US will face power shortages sometime middle to end of next year, which is likely to be true. But as Theodora said, in the UK, we're facing these already. So we're already heading for, we're not just facing a crisis, we're in a crisis. I'm sure all of you are aware that US data centers now being built in the massive sort of gigawatt class. AIX, that's Elon Musk's own venture, is a 1 gigawatt system, but amazingly Meta's Hyperion is 5 gigawatts, planned to be 23 square miles. That's the size of Manhattan. And to give you a sense of how big 5 gigawatts is, I think John might have mentioned this earlier. Right now, the UK is consuming 33 gigawatts, the whole of the United Kingdom. So this is one data center, about a sixth of the entire consumption of the United Kingdom. AI isn't the only game in town. In fact, right now, it's cloud that dominates the data centers around the world, but AI is growing really rapidly. Right now, AI is 33% of global DC capacity, but that is likely to overtake cloud very rapidly. So for the UK to remain relevant with some sovereign capability, low latency applications, we really need to up our game in power availability. And that was definitely Theodora's message, which I completely concur with. Now, the electricity grid, unfortunately, is not the answer. And some of John's points are completely right. There's huge undercapacity. One development that we've been working with asked for 300 megawatts, so quite modest by some of these gigawatt scale requirements, and they've been told by National Grid not until 2033. Well, the whole AI revolution's sort of gone and moved on by then. John's quite right. The rising needs of transport, like electric vehicles and home heating and heat pumps and all this sort of stuff, is already straining the grid, which we need about double capacity between now and 2050 to deal with the non-digital requirements of the grid. So we really can't turn to the grid. Pure intermittents just don't work with data centers because you need the continuous energy, and energy storage costs are still very stubbornly high. In the medium to long term, I'm a great advocate of low-cost nuclear. I worked at Rolls-Royce and in fact span out the small modular reactor program from Rolls-Royce. And there are some great designs, viable designs from Rolls-Royce and others. But I'm the first to admit that these will not be available in quantity, probably until the end of next decade. These are pretty massive undertakings, and to build the supply chains for them is going to take time. But in my opinion, that is the medium to long-term answer. And combined cycle gas turbines are not really the answer either for powering data centers, largely because they just don't work very well at part power. So this company, Floral Energy, I've set up, has been set up to develop scalable microgrids. So these are very, very large banks of gas reciprocating engines coupled with solar and battery, using digital twinning so we can simulate the entire operation of the whole energy grid, designed to scale up right the way to 500 megawatts and up, and then do technology insertions, some of which are some key IP to recover energy from the data center that would otherwise be wasted, which you can't do on grid, by the way. So if you want to couple it back into the energy cycle, to do carbon capture if required, and various other tricks that I won't go into now, to steadily reduce the emission profile of these data centers until nuclear comes along. Now, in my opinion, and just to stimulate some debate, the UK needs to deal with at least 5 issues if it wants to remain relevant in AI. And these are all sort of skewed, of course, towards the energy centre. And the first is really to support our domestic energy industry, because in fact the world has started to turn selfish. with energy shortages, meaning many nations are now starting to restrict exports of key energy products because they recognize this massive need to consume energy. Energy is becoming an issue of national security. We talk about energy sovereignty as a big issue these days. The second, and I think Theodora just talked about this earlier, planning permission is just too slow. The whole process, the number of bodies able to do judicial reviews, it just gets in the way. It's just not at the pace of life in digital world. It's at the pace of life of a bygone era. And similarly, our third point, emission regulations and even nuclear regulation is all suited to an era that has gone by, and there needs some urgent reform and change if we're to keep relevant in the AI race. The fourth point, and John sort of partly alluded to this, I think we've got an issue to do with social tension coming up as well, because with rising energy bills, if all of the low-cost energy technology is used to power data centers and average people's energy bills are going up, as Theodora says, we've already got the highest industrial energy costs in the world. Our domestic energy costs are just outrageously high. And if low-cost nuclear is being used to power data centers, the government needs to face up to the tension that's going to be caused by that. And my fifth point is, can we please get some more science behind where the low power technology might emerge from to do AI with far lower levels of power, new semiconductor technology, new materials, whatever it takes. I don't want to speculate on this call, but new semiconductor architectures in particular that might be instruction set compatible with the NVIDIA chipsets, but which can operate at much, much lower power. I think the world of academia and industry needs to wake up to those. So unless we do some of these things, we're going to fall down at the relevance in AI, and that's going to hit fintech, education, just about everything we do. Even film production, a great industry in the UK, is now increasingly turning to generative AI.